I'd like to talk a little bit about the I/O tab on the touchscreen computer. So the I/O tab is an important tab for diagnostics and also for when you're setting up your RTC. And it basically is telling us the state of all the inputs and outputs that the RTC is either reading in terms of the inputs or setting in terms of the outputs. And most RTCs have I/O nodes, and this is how we switch back and forth. So if I'm here, all these inputs and all these outputs are for I/O node 1. If I'm here, all these inputs and all these outputs are for I/O node 2, etc., etc. Now, for the inputs, it's just going to put up a little green light if that input is on. And that's about all this shows. So I can go off to the right here and simulate turning the roller up tire detector on and off, or the roller detector on and off, and we'll just see the current state of that input. And the outputs, it'll show up these little lights if the RTC is currently turning that output on. And it's basically displaying what it's sending to the I/O nodes, what it's telling the I/O nodes to do. So everything's a little dull right now, so I'll send some cars through and we'll start seeing some lights turn on and off. So the RTC will put up a name of what it thinks that input is connected to. And it's very good at that unless you've got the same input that's connected to two different inputs, or the same input's assigned to two different things, and it's only going to really put up one. And so if you've got your engine store photo eye and your gate both connected to the first input, it's only going to write one word here. So you need to be aware of that. And similar with the outputs. And we can see a few of them going on and off now as cars go through. And if I switch over to another node, on this node we can see that really nothing's going on at this time. So the other thing we can do with this, with these tabs is force on an output or override it on. So if you pick any output and just click on it, we'll get a warning saying you want to force on output 12, are you sure, blah, 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 and you say yes, and we can see that output has come on. And if we unclick it, it basically goes back into automatic mode. So it doesn't turn it off, but it just turns it back to the mode where the RTC's logic is determining whether it's on or off. Like I can turn this one on, I can force it on. It's not going to make any difference because it's already on. But if I go back to automatic mode, it's going to turn back to off. And I can turn a whole bunch on, force them all these overrides on. And I've got one button that'll make everything automatic on all the I/O nodes, no matter what you've got picked here. And that's basically the function of the I/O tab. There's a couple of other smaller things, like we can set the value of the I/O node's analog output, just like the others. So I forced it to 2.5 volts. And that put it back into automatic mode. And if there's some logic that's setting it, we'll see it there. And the last thing is, if you've got ultrasonics set up to operate in a digital mode, where they're acting like almost like an on-off sensor, then they'll show up here. And that's about it. That's the I/O tab. Thank you.